Our boy gets skewered by a massive blade. Realizing his journey ends in this desolate, blood-soaked wasteland, he coughs up blood, the weight of his failure pressing down harder than the steel in his chest. Despite the agony, he looks up and mockingly tells his executioner to just get it over with already. The multi-armed goddess looms over the ruins, a terrifying deity ready to wipe out the last of humanity. Behind that golden mask, she shows no mercy, remaining completely indifferent to the screams of a dying world. She gathers her divine weapons, preparing a final strike that will erase everything the hero fought to protect. With a sudden burst of speed, she descends like a falling star to deliver the final killing blow. His eyes glow one last time before a massive explosion consumes the city, signaling the extinction of man. Turns out this whole tragedy was just a trash-tier ending of a web novel on some guy's phone. Jae-hook sides in bed, completely dumbfounded that the author chose such a depressing, low-effort conclusion for the story. Jae-hook mocks the author, thinking he's the only one keeping this trash-tier story alive with his support. He tosses his phone aside, done with the nonsense, and ready to start his actual day. While our boy is busy, a mysterious notification pops up announcing that the worlds are finally merging. By the next morning, the city looks normal, but something feels fundamentally wrong with the atmosphere. Jae-hook heads out in his best suit, blending into the crowd, while looking completely drained. He curses the housing market, convinced that the lack of affordable flats is just another corporate scam. Suddenly, he stops dead in his tracks. Realizing the building he was looking for has literally vanished, he frantically pushes through the crowd, desperate to see if his eyes are playing tricks on him. Turns out a massive chunk of the city has been erased, leaving nothing but a suspicious white void. Surrounded by weeping neighbors, Jae-hook realizes his hard-earned investment has just been deleted from existence. Jae-hook wonders if modern construction is just trashed here after seeing a whole building vanish in one night. He heads into his classroom only to be jumped by a shadow that's way too fast for comfort. Turns out it's just his hyperactive classmate, who greets him like they're cut from the same cloth. The guy starts rambling about the end of the world, making our boy wonder if he's finally snapped. Jae-hook just pushes him away, asking if he spent the entire night gaming instead of actually sleeping. His friend insists he's serious, showing him viral posts about buildings being deleted across the entire globe. Jae-hook plays it cool and scratches his head, pretending it's all just a series of weird coincidences. But then his buddy mentions monster attacks, and the atmosphere suddenly feels a lot more gritty. He remembers the novel's hero facing an abyssal monster, a beast that definitely shouldn't be in reality. Recalling the lore, he knows the exact weak point to strike if that wolf-like nightmare ever appears. Our boy tries to keep his cool while clutching his spear, knowing one mistake means certain death. He stares down the snarling beast. Realizing he has to end this with a single perfect strike, the monster lunges forward with a terrifying roar, its claws ready to tear through his tattered armor. His eyes widen as the creature closes the distance, the pressure of the moment reaching a breaking point. With a sudden burst of speed, he leaps high into the air to evade the wolf's lethal charge. He puts everything into a final downward swing, screaming internally for the nightmare to finally end. The spear sinks deep into the creature's spine, blood spraying as the monster's momentum is brutally halted. Panting heavily, he stands over the fallen beast and celebrates what feels like a hard-won victory. But as he watches the body, he starts to feel a sense of dread. Questioning if it's truly over, he realizes something is wrong because there's no loot drop or notification, meaning the real threat is still lurking. Our boy just smirks, realizing his trashed here, Mutt is actually trying to play dead. He mocks the slick Mutt, telling it to quit the act and just stay dead for good. The wolf lets out a final glitchy howl as its body begins to pixelate into nothingness. In its place, a glowing blue core and a sharp dagger materialize from the digital void. A notification confirms he secured the first kill, rewarding him with the soul of the beast. He lets out a cheer, absolutely hyped that his desperate struggle finally yielded some top-tier loot. Without a second thought, he agrees to use the soul, eager to see what power holds. Suddenly, a massive crimson shadow of the wolf looms over him as the energy begins to surge. He screams in pure agony while the raw power of the beast forcefully merges with his body. A violent explosion of red mana erupts, signaling the birth of a terrifying new strength. The red aura finally settles as our boy stands tall, feeling the raw power of the wolf's soul. System notifications pop up, confirming a massive tenfold boost to his strength and doubled reflexes. He can't help but grin, eager to see just how much this first kill reward has changed him. Testing his new durability, he strikes himself only to realize he doesn't feel a single shred of pain. Next, He puts his back into a punch, curious if he can actually break the environment. The ground shatters into a massive crater, leaving him absolutely dumbfounded by his own trash tears' shattering power. Turning his attention to the loot, he wonders what kind of secret effect the abyssal stone holds. Without hesitation, he gulps the stone down, hoping for another top-tier upgrade to his arsenal. His vision shifts as he realizes he might have just unlocked a rare space-time ability. Turns out it's just a basic item box, which is way lamer than the god-tier skill he expected. Our boy checks his new gear, realizing the sword of the hunting god doubles his physical stats. He's especially hyped about the lacerate effect, which drains a percentage of an enemy's health every second. Since he's the only one who finished the novel, he knows he's currently the strongest human alive. With the second stage starting in 3 days, he's already itching for the next top-tier reward. Returning to school, he finds a classroom buzzing with rumors about the strange anomalies appearing worldwide. Suddenly, his hyperactive classmate, Suda, comes flying at him with a weirdly intense greeting. Our boy effortlessly sidesteps the tackle, letting the blonde kid crash into the floor like total trash. Suda picks himself up, immediately suspicious that something about his friend's vibe has completely changed. He starts panicking about the global monster sightings, convinced the world is finally going to hell. While the internet is censoring everything, Suda reveals he managed to save a secret video of the chaos. Suda shows off a leaked video featuring a Special Forces soldier who successfully hunted a monster from the Foundations. He is dying to know if our boy realizes the insanity of what happened after the beast was defeated. Apparently, the man gained lightning powers as a reward, and Hanchook knows this isn't some trash-tier hoax. Since more monsters are coming, Suda is desperate to awaken his own superpowers and wants to train together. Our boy casually agrees to the plan, leaving the blonde kid completely dumbfounded by his sudden lack of hesitation. Their teacher interrupts the moment, pushing the typical adult agenda by calling the global chaos nothing but fake rumors. Hanchook just stares ahead, knowing that in 3 days the truth will hit everyone like a freight train. Suda looks over at his friend, sensing that Hanjuk is cut from a completely different cloth lately. As the bell rings, our boy breathes a sigh of relief that the boring, useless lecture is finally over. Before he can leave, Suda pulls him aside, clearly needing to dig deeper into his friend's weirdly calm confidence. Hanchook sighs, wondering how to explain the literal end of the world to a normal kid. They head out to the empty school track, the perfect spot for a secret, high-stakes conversation. Takato demands the truth, sensing that our boy is hiding something massive behind that calm exterior. When Hanjuk hesitates, the blonde kid goes full drama queen, claiming their friendship is officially dead. He even starts fake crying, desperate to guilt-trip his bestie into finally spilling the beans. Giving in, Hanjuk makes him promise to keep this a total secret from the rest of the world. Tito swears on his life, eager to finally see what kind of hidden potential his friend actually has. Our boy tells him to watch closely as he prepares to show off his newly enhanced physical strength. With a casual flick of his fingers, he shatters the solid concrete like it is made of glass. Takato stands there completely dumbfounded, realizing his friend has officially ascended past the level of mere mortals. Our boy explains that he snagged this insane power after taking down a monster just yesterday. Takato is absolutely floored, grabbing his hand like he is witnessing a literal miracle in the flesh. Nearby, a pink-haired student watches the weirdly intimate moment. Wondering what the hell is actually going on, she mistakenly thinks they are just flirting, completely oblivious to the world-ending secrets being shared. Han promises to carry his friend through the next raid so he can finally awaken a skill too. Tio looks a bit shaken, realizing the weight of the life or death path his bestie is inviting him onto. With a cold glint in his eyes, Han reminds him that this stays strictly between the two of them. As the school day ends, the calm city hides the chaotic storm brewing just beneath the surface. Han heads out, already calculating his route to an abandoned site where the next rift will soon open. He knows a nasty agile abyss monkey is waiting there, and he needs to prepare for its speed. Han figures the abyss monkey's defense is basically trashed here, no different from a regular earth monkey. Then there's the abyssal gorilla, a slow tank with massive power that could easily crush a normal person. Our boy knows his stats are superior, planning to carry Teo by leaving one monster for him. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to him, breaking his focus on the upcoming raid calculations. It's the kind neighbor he calls Andy, and he greets her with a rare, genuine smile. She offers him a warm meal, clearly worried about the boy living all on his own these days. Han immediately suspects his scumbag uncle is lurking at his place again, looking for another easy payday. Turns out the trashier relative is still trying to steal the house left by Han's late father. He reassures her that he can handle himself, his confidence coming from his newfound godly powers. Walking off, he leaves her dumbfounded by his strength, though he's actually heading toward a literal war zone. Han finally reaches his family home, unaware that trash-tier intruders have already made themselves at home. Inside, his scumbag uncle and cousin are busy trashing the place while drowning themselves in cheap booze. The pink-haired cousin wonders if Han finally ran off for good, clearly hoping he never returns. The drunk uncle just laughs, thinking they can finally live here permanently if the boy stays missing. He even waves around a crumpled paper, claiming he inherited the rights, and the house is now his. Their celebration is cut short when the front door slams open, signaling the arrival of the true owner. Our boy steps in with a dark aura, telling the leeches they are insane for messing up his home. The cousin tries to act tough, calling Han a brat, while failing to realize he is facing a god. One look at Han's cold, glowing eyes is enough to make the trashy cousin's heart skip a beat. The uncle tries to play the family card, patronizingly calling him a kid while mentioning his late mother. The drunk uncle leans in, patronizingly, suggesting that Han should learn to live alone before college starts. He mockingly offers a measly 1,000 yen as pocket money. Treating the rightful heir like a common beggar, the trashy cousin loses his patience, screaming at our boy to pack his bags and get out immediately. Han doesn't flinch, coldly stating that they are the ones who should leave for forging the will. The uncle just barks back, daring Han to find proof while claiming his influence makes a lawsuit impossible. Looking at the trashed room, Han reminds them how they vanished when his parents were desperately struggling. He recalls his mother working 4 jobs while these leeches were busy stealing money for their booze. The uncle remains unfazed, smugly, telling Han to either take it to court or vanish right now. From the back, the cousin spits out that Han's mother died as karma for being a greedy gold digger. The trash-tier relative continues his vile rant, calling Han a dog and insulting his late mother's character. Han finally snaps, his eyes glowing with mana, as he demands they take back those vile insults. The trashy cousin just laughs, taunting our boy to actually do something instead of just barking. Even the uncle joins in smugly asking if Han really thinks he can lay hands on his elders. They think they're untouchable with the cousin, even promising to beat Han black and blue for his insolence. Fed up with the noise, Han launches a heavy fist right into his uncle's smug, punchable face. The impact sends the scumbag flying, proving that Han's training has made him far from a normal kid. Seeing his old man go down, the cousin grabs a bottle and charges like a total coward. Our boy doesn't even break a sweat, landing a clean kick that shuts the trashy cousin up instantly. Glass shatters as the bottle hits the floor, leaving both of these leeches groveling in the dirt. Trembling on the floor, the cousin pathetically threatens to report Han, still trying to play the victim. Han heads into his room, telling the trash-tier relatives to do whatever they want for now. Nursing their wounds, the cousin suggests calling Chief K2 to get some violent payback on our boy. Han packs his gear, focused on surviving the next Abyss attack and finally avenging his parents. Luggage in hand, he walks past the stunned leeches. Done wasting his breath on them, he tells them they can have the house for 3 days, his eyes glowing with cold indifference. The uncle and cousin are left completely dumbfounded by Han's sudden decision to just leave. Rubbing his swollen jaw, the uncle wonders if the kid really just gave up his entire inheritance. The cousin is absolutely fuming, feeling looked down upon and demanding they call in their reinforcements. As the city lights flicker, Han arrives at a hotel to prepare for the impending apocalypse. He books a room for 2 nights, readying himself for the day the world finally breaks. Han reaches the counter where the receptionist asks if he's running away and offers a shady massage service. Our boy turns bright red, realizing this place is sketchy, but it's the closest spot to the Abyss Zone. The lady gets touchy-fey while handing over his card, asking if the young student is just a bit nervous. He quickly snatches the key for room 208 and bolts, wanting to avoid any more trash-tier interactions tonight. Once inside, he realizes the walls are paper-thin as the sounds of extracurricular activities leak into his room. Han collapses onto the bed, cursing his luck. While the neighboring rooms keep him from getting any actual rest, he buries his face in a pillow, telling himself he just needs to endure this for 2 more days. The moans continue to echo through the hallway, making it clear this hotel is anything but a peaceful sanctuary. In another room, Sakura is absolutely losing it and screams for everyone to just shut their mouths already. Her companion remains calm, reminding her they need to stay close to their objective regardless of the noise. Sakura is absolutely fuming because the noise from the neighboring room is just too much to handle. She turns to her companion, Mio, asking for her professional take on the current situation. Mio just smirks, analyzing the sounds and predicting the guy next door won't last another 10 seconds. Sakura snaps back, clarifying she was talking about their mission at the construction site, not the trash tear drama. Mio tells her to be more specific next time, leaving the poor girl feeling completely dumbfounded. The mood shifts as Mio reflects on how the world has changed into a monster-infested nightmare. She pledges her full support, urging Sakura to focus on acquiring enough power to survive the coming chaos. Sakura agrees, knowing that being cut from a different cloth means she can't afford to fail now. Suddenly, the noise stops exactly on cue, and Mio gives a smug thumbs up for her perfect timing. Sakura just screams at her to stop being so weird as they try to focus on their objective. 2 days later, the clock hits 11:30 p.m. at a desolate construction site, shrouded in eerie moonlight. Our boy Han Jae-hook leads his terrified blonde classmate through the shadows. Sensing something sinister in the air, Han remains cool, assuring his friend that Trash Tier Stage 2 beasts aren't even worth his time. Despite the reassurance, the blonde kid is shaking in his boots, wondering if they'll actually survive this encounter. The classmate jokingly claims he'll use Han as a decoy to escape, and Han surprisingly just goes along with it. Han deadpants, asking if they are even still friends after a comment like that, while the kid just laughs. Checking his phone, Han notes they have 30 seconds left as his friend wonders about other potential heroes. Han knows from the novel that no one else has realized the world is ending yet, giving him the ultimate edge. Suddenly, his sharp eyes catch a flicker of movement, signaling that the main event is finally starting. Without a word, he drags his friend into cover, preparing to strike before the monsters even know he's there. Our boy's sidekick is absolutely dumbfounded, immediately recognizing the famous Hanashima Sakura standing right before them. Han is genuinely shaken. Realizing these two powerful players were never even mentioned in the original novel, he starts connecting the dots. Finally understanding the hidden variables that are currently rewriting his reality, it suddenly clicks that the previous hunters didn't just miss the reward. They were brutally slaughtered instead. Mio places a hand on Sakura's shoulder, reassures her, and tells her it is time to move out. The blonde kid whispers that the Hanashima family has massive influence, and Mio is likely special police. He's sweating bullets, worried these newcomers are going to swoop in and steal their precious stage rewards. Han narrows his eyes, determined that he won't let anyone snatch his loot, regardless of their status. Sakura looks down at the marked zone, still finding it hard to believe monsters will actually crawl out. Mio confirms the grim reality, explaining that a magic circle will summon the beasts exactly at midnight. Mio warns Sakura that the monsters about to crawl out are nothing like the weak beasts of this world. To bridge the gap, she prepares a massive explosive mint to leave the creatures on the verge of death. Handing over a sidearm, Mio tells the girl that she needs to be the one to deliver the finish. Sakura takes the weapon with a shaky hand, trying her best to stay composed as the pressure mounts. High above, the blonde kid is shaking like a leaf, finding the whole scene way too scary to handle. Our boy tells him to get a grip, reminding him that power isn't handed out to the weak-willed. Down on the magic circle, Sakura steals her resolve and confirms she is ready to execute the plan. Han watches closely, noting that these two are using trash tier tools because they haven't awakened any real skills. He realizes that while the bomb might work once, the second monster will only become more violent and unpredictable. With a cold smirk, he decides that no matter their plan, he'll just have to step in and win. Mia watches the timer hit the final seconds, her heart racing as the plan reaches its climax. Both girls lock in, knowing that a single mistake here means they won't make it home tonight. The magic circle begins to pulse with a sinister red energy, signaling the arrival of the rift monsters. Suddenly, the ground trembles as the portal fully opens, unleashing a wave of pure, concentrated mana. Two massive monkeys emerge, and the girls mistakenly think they're lucky to have double the targets. Watching from above, our boy just sigh and calls them idiots for being so overconfident. Mio doesn't hesitate and slams the detonator, hoping the blast is enough to soften the beasts up. A massive explosion rocks the entire facility, turning the center of the magic circle into a fiery hellscape. As the smoke clears, Mio urges Sakura to finish them off before the monsters can recover. Turns out the big one is still standing and lets out a roar that shakes the foundations. Mio and Sakura are stunned to see the smoke clearing, realizing their trap didn't finish the job. While one of the trashier monkeys is crushed under the rubble, the other is very much alive. Before they can even regroup, the surviving beast lets out a roar and charges straight for them. Mio immediately opens fire, hoping her bullets can pierce the thick hide of this abyssal nightmare. She grits her teeth in frustration as the monster barely flinches. Realizing their firepower is severely lacking, the monkey slams its fist down, forcing Mio to yell for Sakura to run for her life. Fueled by pure rage, the beast bellows again, its red eyes locked onto its prey with murderous intent. A massive shock wave from its strike sends Sakura and Mio flying, completely breaking their tactical formation. The monster grips the shattered concrete, preparing for another devastating leap toward the disoriented pair. As they struggle to find their footing, the alpha monkey closes the distance in a terrifying display of speed. Mio collapses, her body failing as she desperately begs Sakura to leave her behind and save herself. Sakura can only watch in horror, her legs frozen as the weight of their failure finally sinks in. The trash-tier beast towers over her, its shadow swallowing her whole as it prepares the final blow. Seeing her partner about to be crushed, Mio screams out in a futile attempt to stop the inevitable. Sakura shuts her eyes tight, accepting her fate as the monster's massive fist descends with bone-shattering force. Suddenly, a violent boom echoes through the ruins, signaling a power far beyond these amateur agents. The shock wave sends the alpha monkey reeling back, its predatory momentum completely halted by an unexpected interference. Out of the smoke, our boy appears casually absorbing the impact, while complaining that the strike actually stung. Sakura looks up completely dumbfounded that a random student just stood between her and certain death. Mio rushes over to her side, both of them staring at the mysterious savior who just changed the game. Han tells the girls to beat it because they're just dead weight against this trash-tier beast. Sakura stares at him through tears, completely dumbfounded that this specific student is standing in front of her. He doesn't have time for a reunion, insisting they need to clear out before things get even messier. Suddenly, the alpha monkey lunges from the shadows, its eyes locked onto our boy with murderous intent. Han reacts instantly, meeting the beast midair with a heavy kick that sends shock waves through the room. He doesn't let up, grabbing the monster's chains to ensure it can't escape his next brutal move. Letting out a primal roar, he pours every ounce of his power into his grip to overwhelm it. With a violent heave, he hurls the massive gorilla across the arena like it is absolutely nothing. Despite the display, he realizes that even with 10 times his normal strength, he is only barely keeping pace. Knowing he can't drag this out, he manifests a glowing blade of mana to finally end this nightmare. The alpha monkey is visibly shaken, realizing it is no longer the apex predator in this room. Our boy doesn't give it a second to breathe, diving in with his monoblade to finish the job. He carves through the beast's defenses, knowing one clean strike is all it takes to end this. The monster lets out a final desperate howl as it realizes its reign of terror is officially over. With a final burst of dark energy, Han completely obliterates the trash-tier creature once and for all. A system notification pops up, congratulating him for being the first human to take down a Stage 2 threat. As the beast dissolves into nothingness, Han lands gracefully, barely even breaking a sweat from the encounter. Amidst the dissipating mana, a rare item drops, proving that high-risk hunts always come with high-tier rewards. Sakura and the agent stand there completely dumbfounded, unable to process the sheer power they just witnessed. Han just flashes a cocky grin and tells them to quit stalling and get down there already. The agent panics about the height, but our boy just calls them useless for being so completely helpless. Without a second thought, Han grabs his terrified classmate and leaps straight down into the dark abyss below. They land near the defeated trash-tier beast, and Han demands the blonde kid deliver the final killing blow. The kid freezes up, realizing that becoming a real hunter is way more brutal than any video game. The injured agent watches them, thanking Han for saving Sakura, but clearly eyeing the valuable monster corpse. Sakura leans on her partner, still reeling from the fact that a random student just totally outclassed them. Han makes it clear he isn't handing over his hard-earned loot to some government lapdogs for free. Desperate to secure the specimen, the agent tries to bribe him with some unbelievably good rewards and conditions. Even the blonde classmate thinks they should listen, hoping to avoid any more trouble with the authorities. Han stays firm, reminding them he did the heavy lifting while his friend needs the vital experience points. Our boy hands over the blade, forcing the terrified classmate to finally take a life. With a desperate thrust, the kid ends the trash-tier beast, finally crossing the line into being a hunter. The system rewards him for the kill, dropping some high-tier loot that looks way too good for a rookie. Even with the beast dead, the blonde kid is still shaking, worried the monster might suddenly spring back up. Han just tells him to stop being a baby and wrap things up before more trouble arrives. Realizing they're outmatched, the agents decide to retreat, promising this isn't the last time they'll meet. The The white-haired agent admits Han knows more than she does, practically begging him for future tactical support. Han weighs the options while she offers him literally anything in exchange for his elite help. She gets serious, explaining that her family's honor depends on keeping the city safe from the coming rift. Han gives a non-committal answer, telling them to clear out before he changes his mind about being helpful. The agents finally head out, thanking our boy and asking him to get in touch later. Han lets out a long sigh of relief. Glad to finally have some breathing room, he hands a glowing soul stone to the blonde kid, telling him to consume it for a boost. Our boy swallows his own loot, feeling a sudden violent surge of power deep within his soul. The system confirms he has gained the lone wolf strength. Though the stat increases feel a bit underwhelming, he tests his new reflexes with a few quick strikes, feeling slightly faster, but not quite satisfied yet. Han turns to the kid and asks what kind of skill he ended up with after that kill. The blonde classmate looks totally defeated, admitting his eagle-eyed skill is basically useless for actual fighting. Han gives him a reassuring pat, telling him that having a scout's vision is actually a massive win. He hands over a fire-enchanted slingshot, explaining that this little tool will finally give him some real teeth. Han smiles to himself, thinking a fire attribute is a top-tier choice for a beginner's growth. He turns to the kid, curious about what kind of special perks that new weapon actually holds. The blonde classmate excitedly explains his precision skill, which ensures every shot finds its mark perfectly. He gives a grateful thumbs up, realizing he would be monster food without Han's help tonight. As they walk off, Han warns that the world they knew will be completely gone by morning. The city lights flicker below, totally unaware of the rift monsters lurking in the dark corners. In a getaway car, the white-haired agent apologizes for letting the situation spiral out of control. She remains suspicious of their savior and plans to dig into the kid's background immediately. The name Suda sticks in her throat as she realizes he is way too strong for a student. After a long night of carrying the team, our boy finally reaches a hotel to catch some sleep. Our boy and his buddy settle into a sketchy hotel, greeted by some very questionable noises next door. The blonde classmate is skeptical about the room, but Han tells him to just suck it up. Money is on the kid's mind as he wonders if they're actually broke after seeing this dump. Han explains that while he has cash, currency will be totally worthless once the world ends tomorrow. The blonde classmate gets a trashy idea, flashing a creepy grin that catches Han off guard. Han immediately panics and tells him there's no way he's letting him call for any special company. His buddy just laughs, calling Han a quiet lecher for even knowing what he was implying. Their banter is cut short by a loud knock at the door, announcing the arrival of their food. Han decides to just eat and sleep, knowing the world will be unrecognizable when they finally wake up. As he grabs the delivery, the hotel receptionist struts past, unaware that her normal life is almost over. Our boy barely steps out before he's nearly blinded by a stunning woman with a massive rose tattoo. They lock eyes in the hallway, and Han feels the weight of her gaze as she passes him by. He quickly realizes he was staring and tries to play it cool, though his face is bright red. Once back inside, he lets out a sigh of relief, glad to have avoided any more awkward social interactions. While digging into their meal, Han drops the bombshell that the sun will vanish at exactly 8 tomorrow. He explains that an emerald sun will take its place, marking the moment the abyss claims the earth. The world will be bathed in green light as a terrifying voice announces humanity's new hellish reality. Panic will finally force world leaders to stop playing games and hold an emergency international conference. As the chaos spreads, powerful awakened humans will finally step out of the shadows to show their true strength. Governments will scramble to form special response teams. But our boy knows they're just delaying the inevitable. Scientists will eventually collaborate to build specialized weapons. But our boy knows it is a losing battle. Even the most advanced tech won't stop the abyssal monsters from turning the world into a graveyard. While they eat, the blonde classmate wonders if they're the only ones holding such massive power. Han casually explains there are roughly 200 users, ranking his buddy at a solid 30. Suddenly, Han senses a shift in the atmosphere, his expression turning sharp as his instincts scream danger. The blonde classmate is completely dumbfounded, struggling to believe he is actually among the world's elite. Sensing something is wrong, Han stands up abruptly while his friend asks what is going on. Our boy does not waste time and bolts for the door, telling his buddy he will be right back. Left in the dust, the classmate becomes convinced that Han is actually a high-tier reincarnator. He starts crying over his meal, feeling totally cheated that he was not the one reborn with cheat codes. Han reaches the lobby where the receptionist clarifies that the mysterious beauty isn't one of their regular girls. She mentions a freelancer who operates on her own schedule, which immediately grabs our boy's full attention. The woman wonders why such a high-class lady would stay here when she could afford much better places. Hans's instincts flare up as he realizes this mysterious freelancer is exactly the person he's looking for. The receptionist is clearly caught off guard, wondering how a kid like him could possibly know her. Our boy doesn't hesitate and asks which room the woman is currently staying in to make his move. She tries to maintain a shred of professionalism, claiming she can't divulge private information about their guests. Knowing money talks, Han slams a fat stack of cash onto the counter to change her mind. The bribe works instantly, and she happily points him toward room 502 with a greedy smile. Han walks away, jokingly offering her a job if she gets fired for leaking the guest's secret location. Han heads to the 5th floor while recalling the legendary powerhouses known as the 12 Stars. Among them is the destroyer of Scorpio, a woman so powerful she ranks in the top 5. Her name is a mystery. Her signature rose tattoo is a dead giveaway of her identity. She has a reputation for being absolutely brutal, keeping men as prisoners in her own private dungeon. Our boy realizes the mysterious woman he saw earlier fits the description of the man-hating Scorpio perfectly. He reaches her room, but hesitates, wondering how he can possibly convince such a dangerous woman to cooperate. Knowing she despises men, he breaks a sweat, thinking about the high risk of getting his head ripped off. Suddenly, the door clicks open before he can even knock, catching him completely off guard. The red-haired woman steps out and looks at him, clearly surprised to see him standing there. She recognizes him from the hallway and wonders why the kid from earlier is lingering outside her door. Han immediately starts apologizing for his unannounced visit, trying to play it cool despite his mounting nerves. The dangerous woman grabs his face, teasingly asking if he's been following her like some common stalker. Our boy turns bright red, stammering out a denial while his heart hammers against his ribs. She leans in close, whispering that she charges a steep price for a single round of her time. Terrified of her reputation, Han bolts down the hallway, shouting that she's got the completely wrong idea. She watches him flee, realizing there's something off about him, and deciding it's time to move on. Back in a room, Han can't stop thinking about the encounter while his classmate sleeps like a log. Morning arrives far too soon, and the blonde high schooler looks absolutely trashed as he finally wakes up. He begs for a few more minutes of sleep, but Han is already staring out at the horizon. Our boy tells him to move it, knowing the world as they know it ends in 60 seconds. Han watches the horizon while his buddy scrambles up, sensing the final countdown has hit 0. The blonde high schooler is absolutely dumbfounded, realizing the nightmare Han described is actually happening. High above the city, a sickening green rift tears through the sky, signaling the end of normally. Our boy narrows his eyes, thinking to himself that the world's transformation is finally starting. An eerie green glow washes over the streets, catching every unsuspecting citizen off guard. People rub their eyes in disbelief, wondering if they've finally lost it or if they're just tired. Panic starts to bubble as the crowd confirms the sun has turned a toxic shade of green. The atmosphere screams as the celestial anomaly pulses, preparing to vomit out the first wave of horrors. Elsewhere, the red-haired woman grumbles about her lack of sleep after her weird encounter with Han. She stops dead in her tracks, her purple eyes widening as she spots the emerald sun overhead. The red-haired woman recalls her teacher's words about colorblindness, wondering if her eyes are finally failing her. She reaches toward the emerald sky, mesmerized by the deadly beauty of the world's end. As the green sun pulses, a mysterious force begins to resonate with the chosen few below. Suddenly, her vision shifts to the Scorpio constellation, signaling the arrival of her true awakening. The celestial scorpion burns into her iris as the destroyer of Scorpio's legacy finally takes root. The sudden influx of divine power is too much to handle, making her stumble as her vision swims. She collapses onto the pavement, her suitcase clattering as bystanders watch the first of the awakened fall. Back at the hotel, Han Jae-hook tells the blonde classmate to brace himself for the coming storm. A mocking voice echoes through everyone's minds, calling humanity filthy while announcing a cruel transformative gift. The entity explains that some humans now hold power beyond imagination, forever changing the rules of survival. The voice in the sky promises that humanity is about to experience a literal living hell. It mockingly labels this slaughter, the abyssal war, treating the end of the world like a mere game. Massive teleportation circles begin to bridge the gap between Earth and the nightmare realm of the abyss. Legions of abyssal monsters wait in the shadows, promised godlike power if they can just crush every human. Even elite agents like Sakura and her partner feel the crushing weight of the coming extinction. Across the city, hidden awakened humans realize their quiet lives are over as the portals start to tear. High-ranking figures and their subordinates can only watch as the rules of their world are rewritten. The entity grins, making it clear that humanity loses the moment the last living thing is devoured. Deciding it has talked enough, the monster prepares to let the chaos unfold without any further spoilers. With a final mocking wish for luck, the entity vanishes, leaving the world to face its new reality. The sky turns into a swirling nightmare as the abyssal energy begins to choke the horizon. Back at the hotel, our boy's classmate is losing his mind, desperately asking if humanity even stands a chance. Han remains silent, his mind flashing back to the divine carnage and the monsters he knows are coming. He finally looks up, telling the kid that if they work together, they might actually pull through. The blonde kid is completely dumbfounded, wondering why a regular high schooler sounds so confident about the apocalypse. Meanwhile, in the country of Novalis, top officials admit that Earth has officially become a playground for monsters. A hot-headed general slams the table, insisting they should just blast those trash-tier creatures with everything they've got. Matsumoto believes the army is the only solution, hoping to wipe them out without losing any more civilians. But another official cuts him off, reminding the room that their standard guns didn't do squat against the last boss. Itto Ryota's sigh, admitting they have no clue if their weapons will even scratch the next nightmare that spawns. Matsumoto snaps, demanding to know what they're even supposed to do if their weapons are useless. E2 pushes his glasses up, suggesting they assemble a super squad of awakened humans to handle the mess. The big boss thinks it a solid plan, but worries about how they'll actually recruit these powerful individuals. He then tasks Matsumoto with maintaining order, knowing the public will lose their minds once the truth drops. The room echoes with a unified salute as the officials prepare to mobilize their last line of defense. Meanwhile, our boy Han explains to his buddy that the government is already planning to form an elite team. The blonde kid looks nervous, asking if they're actually going to sign up and join the official ranks. Han shuts that down immediately, stating they'll be operating as independent mercenaries instead of government pawns. He remembers from the novel that the original hero got screwed over by red tape and lost his freedom. While the government offers perks, Han knows keeping their autonomy is vital. Unaware they're being watched by Sakura, Takedo wonders where they are heading next since they're ditching the official government recruitment. Our boy explains he needs to handle some personal business before their intense training begins. Tio gets a bit curious, wondering exactly what kind of business Han has to settle first. He makes a throat-slitting gesture, asking if Han is planning to finally finish off his scumbag uncle. Han remains silent, his expression darkening as he contemplates the messy family ties he needs to sever. Teto promises to stay by his side, but warns him not to cross the line into becoming a criminal. Han simply acknowledges the warning, though the weight of his future knowledge clearly hangs heavy on him. He flashes a confident smirk, deciding he will handle the situation in his own unique way. Meanwhile, the trashier relatives are busy drinking and complaining about the timing of a monster invasion. The cousin crushes his drink in a rage, blaming Han for not handing over the property sooner. The scumbag uncle tries to drink his worries away, telling himself to just enjoy the moment. He has already polished off a mountain of cans, but the alcohol isn't enough to drown his greed. When the booze runs dry, he starts barking orders for more, completely unaware of the looming shadow. Suddenly, a blade flashes through the air, ending the trashy cousin's life before he can even blink. The uncle loses it, screaming in terror as he realizes his son has been wiped from existence. He falls back in pure shock when our boy steps into the light, looking like a literal reaper. Hans's eyes glow with a cold, murderous intent as he tells the old man he is the next target. The uncle screams that this is a crime, but Hans simply admits that he already knows. Desperate to survive, the coward tries to play the family card, begging for his miserable life. Han just scoffs at the word family, remembering exactly how these leeches treated him in the past. Han explodes with rage, accusing the trash-tier relative of driving his mother to an early grave for money. He looms over the coward, demanding to know how he could live without a shred of guilt. The uncle starts blubbering, offering a secret in exchange for his miserable life. Our boy isn't buying it and prepares to send the old man to the afterlife. Just as the blade is about to fall, the uncle screams that he knows the truth about his mother. Han freezes in his tracks, the mention of his mother's death, hitting him like a physical blow. The room goes dead silent as the uncle repeats that he knows exactly who killed her. Hans's eyes ignite with a cold blue flame as he demands the name of the killer. The coward reveals it was a high-ranking official's nephew who struck her while drunk driving. Han narrows his eyes, wondering how this bottom feeder could have possibly obtained such classified information. The uncle blubbers about how he blackmailed the police chief to get rich off the cover-up. Our boy finally connects the dots, realizing why the law turned a blind eye to his mother's death. The trashier relative begs for mercy, thinking his confession bought him a one-way ticket to safety. He even has the audacity to feel resentful, swearing he'll never forgive Han for this humiliation. But his relief is short-lived as a sudden sharp pain explodes in the center of his chest. Turns out Han isn't the type to leave loose ends, especially when it comes to family blood debts. The blade sinks deep, ensuring this parasite will never breathe another word of his filthy secrets. Han just smirks, satisfied that justice has finally been served in the most permanent way possible. Suddenly, his blonde classmate bursts in, looking completely dumbfounded at the bloody scene before him. Han coldly tells him to look away, reminding him that in this new world, one more body doesn't matter. Han decides it's time to grind, telling his student they'll be honing that eagle-eyed skill for weeks. Our boy starts packing the essentials, knowing they can't afford to be unprepared for the coming chaos. He looks his student in the eye, making sure the kid is truly ready for this hellish training. They seal their pact with a fist bump, ready to face the apocalypse as a united front. 2 weeks later, Sakura and her partner discuss how Shu remains a total enigma, despite his help. The agent notes that her investigation turned up nothing but a history of dealing with some trash-tier relatives. They reach the abandoned factory Han mentioned. Feeling the weight of the mystery surrounding their supposed ally, Sakura's eyes widen as she spots something ahead. Realizing they aren't as alone as they thought, the car speeds toward the desolate facility where the next stage of their mission is set to unfold. A mysterious man watches from the shadows, wondering who these intruders are and what they want. The black SUV screeches to a halt right in front of the factory, where a familiar face waits. Sakura and the agent step out, immediately spotting the blonde student who seems to be expecting them. Tio flashes a cocky grin and welcomes them, looking far more confident than the last time they met. The duo just stares back with pure suspicion, clearly not buying his sudden change in vibe. Sakura's eyes widen as she starts piecing together that this isn't the same weak kid she once knew. She and the agent are completely dumbfounded, questioning if this confident guy is actually the same Asahi Teto. Tio just laughs it off and strikes a pose, asking if they really forgot about him so quickly. The agent realizes that obtaining power has completely transformed his mannerisms, making him feel like a different person. He effortlessly catches his gear, showing off the new reflexes he's honed during his secret training sessions. Finally, our boy Hanjook walks up and tells Takato to stop playing around and get moving. The group piles into the vehicle as our boy Hanjook prepares for the next phase. Tio can't help but feel himself, acting all cool now that he's finally got some real power. Once they're settled, the agent takes the wheel and asks where their mysterious guide wants to go. Han reveals that the third portal is set to manifest right in the underground lot of the ruins. Accepting his intel without question, the agent hits the gas and sets off toward the designated coordinates. By the time they reach the Twin Towers, the moon is high and the deadline is fast approaching. They arrive at the desolate parking structure, finding the exact spot where the abyss will soon break through. The agent is impressed, noting that Han's prediction about the location was spot on. Han remains cautious, asking her to scan the area for any civilians who might get caught in the crossfire. She confirms the place is a ghost town, meaning they can go all out without any witnesses. Han warns the group that a rank 3 monster is coming and they should focus solely on defense. Tio gets cocky, reminding Han that he is also an awakened user who can handle himself in combat. Our boy shuts down the ego trip immediately, putting his student in a headlock to keep him focused. Right on cue, the clock strikes midnight, and the abyss begins to tear through the fabric of reality. Han senses the shift in the air, knowing the real fight is finally about to begin. From the shadows, Sakura and the agent watch closely, hoping to see the mysterious mercenary in action. A massive, disgusting purple entity crawls out of the rift, oozing with pure abyssal energy. Takato is completely dumbfounded by the creature's size. Realizing this isn't some trash-tier mob, Han commands a student to hold his ground, knowing that fear is the quickest way to get killed. Drawing his blade, Han prepares to carry the team while testing if Tio actually learned anything. Takato checks his gear, recalling the slime's attack patterns involving corrosive acid and those nasty tentacles. He plans to shred the tentacles first, asking our boy to follow up with the finishing blow. The massive purple blob towers over them, looking like something straight out of a trash-tier horror novel. Even after all that training, Tio can't help but feel disgusted by the creature's wriggling, slimy body. Han keeps his cool, reminding his student that they need to end this quickly before things get messy. Suddenly, the beast lashes out, sending its massive tentacles whipping through the air with lethal speed. The duo barely manages to dodge as the purple limbs crash down, shattering the ground beneath them. Activating his eagle eye, Takato locks on and starts blasting away, determined to tear the monster to pieces. While the student provides cover fire, Han effortlessly carves through the remaining tentacles like they were nothing. With the path clear, our boy leaps high into the air, aiming his blade right for the monster's eye. Han carves through the slime, knowing this trash tier mob is just a warm-up. The beast falls into pieces, but our boy remains alert for any hidden surprises. Sensing spectators, Han demands that the two hiding agents finally show their faces. He tells Sakura to finish it off, testing if she's actually cut from the same cloth. She raises her dagger, though her trembling hands betray how out of her league she feels. Tio suddenly screams a warning, sensing a massive threat descending from above. The agents are dumbfounded as a blinding light tears through the ceiling without warning. Han moves like a blur, grabbing Sakura just as a massive explosion shatters the concrete. He holds her close while the others brace themselves, wondering who just tried to kill them. As the dust settles, a mysterious voice mocks them for actually managing to dodge that strike. The scarred intruder smirks, deciding to let them off just this once despite his initial murderous intent. He walks forward with total confidence, declaring that the target in this area now belongs to him. A grotesque purple monster separates the two parties, serving as a buffer in this tense three-way standoff. Han shoots a sharp look at the agent, calling out her trash tier intel for being completely unreliable. The agent is visibly shaken, offering a desperate apology for failing to realize they weren't alone. The mysterious man grows impatient, bluntly, telling the group to get lost before he loses his temper. Han realizes this guy shouldn't be here yet, noting that the original book's timeline is officially broken. With his mana surging, our boy prepares to take him down, even if it's ahead of schedule. They close the distance until they're standing face to face, neither side willing to back down an inch. The intruder mocks Han for being frozen in fear, while Han worries about the growing butterfly effect. Han lets out a tired sigh, clearly annoyed that he has to deal with this unexpected variable. The intruder just smirks, mockingly, asking why our boy is acting so exhausted before the fight even starts. Cracking his knuckles, Han admits he already saw a mess like this coming thanks to his future knowledge. Their powers collide in a violent burst, sending shock waves as Han feels the intruder's insane physical pressure. The mysterious man wears a trash tier grin, admitting that the brat in front of him is actually pretty good. Sliding back to gain distance, Han realizes the enemy is using high-level manipulation to control those deadly iron spheres. Sensing an opening, Han shouts for Teo to strike while the intruder is distracted by their initial clash. Tito doesn't hesitate, unleashing a hail of bullets aimed directly at the arrogant man's vitals. The intruder effortlessly deflects every shot, using his floating spheres like an impenetrable shield against the gunfire. He laughs, admitting he never imagined two kids could actually put up such a decent fight against him. Tio unleashes a mana-infused shot, determined to take the intruder down with a single fiery blast. The intruder remains arrogant, certain his iron spheres can easily deflect such a predictable attack. Turns out he's wrong as the bullet shatters his defenses and strikes him with overwhelming force. He collapses in pain, clutching his shoulder while realizing these kids aren't the pushovers he expected. Fuming with rage, the mysterious man refuses to accept that a couple of brats actually drew blood. Hanji Hook calmly tells him to stop resisting, promising they won't kill him if he just cooperates. Instead of surrendering, the intruder suddenly lunges forward with a desperate burst of explosive speed. Our boy Han prepares to block, but quickly realizes the man isn't even aiming for him. The villain wears a trash tier grin as he closes the distance on a completely dumbfounded Takato. Before the student can raise his weapon, the intruder strikes, proving he still has some fight left. The intruder's explosive speed creates a massive shockwave, proving he's far more dangerous than his initial injury suggested. Our boy, Hanji Hook, screams for his student to move while desperately throwing himself into the line of fire. Unfortunately, the villain is a step ahead, grabbing Han's face and slamming him into the dirt with ease. Han struggles to catch his breath, realizing this mysterious variable is operating on a completely different level of power. The intruder stands tall, his eyes burning with a purple glow that signals he's done playing around with brats. He immediately follows up with a brutal punch, catching Han right in the jaw before he can even recover. Another strike lands with a sickening thud, making it clear that Han's current defenses are basically paper thin. The man unleashes a relentless barrage of blows. Determined to beat our boy into a pulp for drawing blood, He mocks Han's physical boost skill, laughing because even with extra mana, the boy is still just trashed here. Sakura and the white-haired agent stand frozen in shock, realizing their only hope is currently being used as a punching bag. The mysterious intruder turns his attention to the girls, warning them to stay exactly where they are. He doesn't wait for an answer, delivering a heavy blow that sends the white-haired agent reeling in pain. Standing over the fallen agent, he tells Sakura to stay smart and avoid doing anything unnecessary. He looks around the wreckage, satisfied that he's made his point while the dead slime monster rots nearby. Cracking his neck, the man casually suggests they get their friend to a hospital before things get worse. But our boy isn't finished yet, his eyes glowing with a renewed mana that screams he's still in the fight. Han charges forward with insane speed, catching the arrogant intruder completely off guard with a sudden counterattack. The man is absolutely dumbfounded, unable to comprehend how Han is standing there completely unscathed after that beating. Before he can process the shock, Han delivers a devastating kick that sends the villain spinning through the air. The impact is massive, launching the mysterious variable backward. As the tables finally start to turn, the mysterious intruder coughs up blood. Realizing too late that he severely underestimated our boy's hidden potential, Han catches his breath, his body screaming from the strain of pushing his mana past its absolute limits. Ignoring the trash tier villain, Han rushes over to check on Takato, who's looking pretty rough after the collision. He helps his student up while Tio dizzily asks if they actually managed to pull off the impossible. Teto flexes his wrist, relieved that his hellish training kept his bones from shattering like glass during the fight. The duo turns their attention back to the dying slime monster, while Sakura tends to the injured agent nearby. Sakura doesn't hesitate, plunging her blade into the core of the beast to finish it off for good. Han scoops up the unconscious agent and hands Sakura a glowing stone, telling her to consume it immediately. As the mana flows through her, Sakura feels a surge of power, wondering if this is her true awakening. The group starts moving out, leaving the wreckage behind as Sakura scrambles to keep up with the others. The mysterious intruder lies in the dirt, feeling the stinging pain of a defeat he never saw coming. He stares at the crater, wondering how a mere brat could possess such overwhelming, monstrous power. Still reeling, he pulls out his phone to report the mess he's made in the empty parking garage. He admits his failure over the line, complaining that his face is an absolute wreck thanks to those kids. Limping away, he tells his contact they'll finish the conversation once he's back at the home base. The night air is cold as he finally reaches a secluded hideout, still fuming over the humiliating loss. He kicks the door open in a fit of rage, unable to contain how incredibly pissed off he feels. Inside, the red-haired woman mocks his appearance, asking who could have possibly turned him into a punching bag. Their leader is just as shocked, barely managing to swallow his drink while questioning if someone that strong exists. The intruder explains that one kid was a crack shot, while the other simply beat him to a pulp. The leader ponders recruiting the kids, realizing their strengthening skills would be a massive asset to their forces. Still nursing his bruised ego, the intruder snaps back that he wants absolutely nothing to do with them. The boss turns to the red-haired woman, casually asking if she wants to take a crack at them instead. She slams the table in a rage, reminding him for the 100th time to address her as Scorpio. The intruder just smirks, mockingly, questioning why a babe like her is so obsessed with such a code name. That was the wrong move, as her hand instantly ignites with a lethal pink aura aimed at his throat. She gives him one final warning to watch his mouth before she decides to end his miserable life. Instead of backing down, his eyes glow with a dangerous purple light as he dares her to try. The leader finally steps in to break it off, sighing about how exhausting it is managing trash tier tempers. He makes it clear that if the intruder acts up again, there won't be a next time for him. The mercenary leader's eye glows with a terrifying light as he promises to personally punish their blatant insubordination. Both the intruder and Scorpio are completely dumbfounded. Realizing they finally pushed the big boss too far, Scorpio immediately switches gears, playfully apologizing and promising that her trash tier attitude won't resurface again. The intruder stares in cold silence, finally understanding that he's dealing with a literal demon in human skin. The boss orders Scorpio to return soon, making it clear that anyone refusing to join must be eliminated. Scorpio smirks with a dangerous resolve, fully prepared to execute the mission and wipe out any potential obstacles. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a medical facility where our boy is finally checking on his battered team. The doctor delivers the good news that the agent's internal organs are surprisingly intact despite the brutal beating. Sakura lets out a massive sigh of relief, thankful that she'll be back on her feet in weeks. Even the blonde classmate gets a pass with the doctor confirming he only suffered some minor muscle tears. T.O. tries to act tough, flexing his arm and claiming he is perfectly fine to keep moving. But his body immediately betrays him as a sharp throb of pain pulses through his bandaged limb. He collapses in a heap, leaving Sakura and Han wondering if their boy is actually going to pull through. The doctor exits the room, reminding them to hit the call button if his condition suddenly takes a dive. Suddenly, a chilling global broadcast warns the agent and Sakura that the abyss can manifest anywhere at any time. Powerful variables across the globe realize the world scale has changed as the entity explains the new rules. Even the wealthy elites are dumbfounded, learning that humanity must hunt every abyss seed to survive this game. If they fail, the abyssal entity gleefully promises that the entire Earth will simply become its next meal. It decides to keep the rest a secret, knowing that giving away too much would ruin the fun. With a final mocking wish for a fun game, the monster's terrifying presence looms over the silent city. The purple mist finally vanishes, leaving the city in a state of absolute chilling silence. Back in the room, the blonde classmate looks at Han and desperately asks if humanity even stands a chance. Han remains silent, his mind racing through the horrific endings he read about in the original novel. He recalls the Ashura goddess and the total extinction he is desperately trying to prevent this time. With a heavy gaze, our boy vows that they definitely won't lose during this second chance. The blonde classmate is left dumbfounded, wondering why Han sounds like he has already lived through a failed apocalypse. Meanwhile, world leaders are forced to admit that Earth has officially become a playground for abyssal monsters. Zhou Wanlei slams the table, refusing to believe any trash-tier monster can withstand a full military bombardment. He suggests an immediate military intervention, convinced that human firepower is still the ultimate solution. However, Wang Wenfang warns that these creatures are already evolving to resist their most powerful heat weapons. Zhao Wani demands a solution. So, Wang Wenfang steps up with a radical proposal for the council. He suggests gathering all ability users into an Esper squad to combat the growing abyssal threat directly. The head representative agrees, noting that these uncontrollable factors are better off under their strict management. He puts Wang Fang in charge of the squad, while tasking Zhou Wanli with maintaining domestic order. The room erupts in agreement as the government officially begins its desperate mobilization against the coming apocalypse. Walking through the city, our boy predicts that the world will soon form specialized anti-abs organizations. The blonde classmate is shocked, wondering if they are actually going to sign up and join them. Han shakes his head, deciding they'll operate as independent mercenaries to keep their hands untied. He remembers how the novel's original hero lost everything because government red tape restricted his every move. While the official path has perks, Han knows that true survival requires the total freedom to act. The blonde classmate looks at our boy, wondering what their next move is in this crumbling world. Han explains they have 2 weeks before the next wave, meaning they need some serious training to survive. But before that, Han mentions he has some personal business to settle, making his student visibly uneasy. The kid catches on quick, asking if this business involves finally taking out his trash-tier uncle. Han doesn't say a word, but his cold gaze confirms that some blood debts are long overdue. His student promises his loyalty, though he begs Han not to turn into the very villain they're fighting. Our boy pauses, realizing how his quest for vengeance might look to someone who still believes in heroes. He gives a reassuring smile, telling the kid not to worry about him losing his humanity just yet. Meanwhile, the scumbag uncle is busy drinking away his stolen wealth. Annoyed that the apocalypse is ruining his fun, his trashy son joins in, crushing a can while wishing death on the cousin they've already wronged so much. Staffa, the uncle, tells his son to enjoy their time together. Completely unaware of the shadow looming over them, he keeps chugging drinks, trying to drown out the reality of the world ending outside his stolen walls. Suddenly, he notices the kid can't handle his liquor anymore, unaware that death has already claimed his son. A dark, suffocating aura fills the room as the cousin is suddenly consumed by Han's overwhelming killing intent. The uncle lets out a pathetic scream when a cold blade suddenly grazes his neck out of thin air. Our boy finally makes his entrance, sending the trash-tier uncle tumbling while the cousin lies slumped on the couch. Han stares him down with those glowing eyes, coldly announcing that it is finally the old man's turn. The uncle panics, accusing Han of committing a crime while the reality of his son's death sinks in. He tries to play the family card, desperately claiming that blood is thicker than water to save his skin. Han just scoffs at the mention of family, remembering exactly how these parasites treated him when he was alone. Han explodes with rage, reminding the parasite how they bullied his mother and even cursed her while she died. He looms over the coward, questioning their definition of family after they stole everything from a dying woman. The uncle starts sobbing like a child, desperately offering a shocking secret in exchange for his miserable life. Our boy isn't buying it, preparing to send this trash-tier relative straight to the afterlife for a family reunion. In a final act of desperation, the uncle claims he knows the truth about who really killed Han's mom. Han freezes, his glowing eyes widening as a piece of his past he thought was settled suddenly resurfaces. The room goes silent while the uncle cowers, realizing he has finally found the one thing that might save him. His mana flares up in a dark aura as he demands to know the name of the killer immediately. The coward reveals it was Director Wong's nephew, claiming the man was drunk when he struck Han's mother down. Han grits his teeth in pure hatred, wondering how this piece of trash could possibly have known the truth. The coward explains he's been living off this blackmail for years after catching the director's slip-up. Our boy finally understands why the investigation hit a dead end despite all his efforts. Thinking he's bought his freedom, the trash-tier relative tries to scurry away like a rat. He looks back with a cold sweat, realizing Han never actually promised to let him live. Fear consumes him as he realizes his life is forfeit regardless of the secrets he spilled. Suddenly, he collapses to his knees, his body failing as the weight of his sins catches up. With a swift, merciless strike, Han's blade pierces right through the man's treacherous heart. Han just smirks and cleans his weapon, feeling a grim sense of satisfaction from the kill. The blonde classmate walks in and stands dumbfounded at the sight of the fresh corpse. Han tells his student to toughen up because this is just a small taste of their new reality. Han tells his student to pack up, claiming 2 weeks is enough to master his eagle eye ability. Our boy and the blonde classmate gear up, ready to leave their temporary sanctuary behind for the real world. Han asks if he's truly prepared for the carnage, and the kid responds with a sharp, gritty grin. They seal their pact with a fist bump, officially stepping into the nightmare that has become their new reality. 2 weeks later, Sakura and the white-haired agent are driving, discussing the mysterious man they're supposed to help. The agent admits her investigation hit a wall, proving that Han's background is anything but simple or ordinary. As they reach the abandoned factory Han mentioned, the tension in the car becomes thick enough to cut. Sakura looks completely dumbfounded, her mind racing with questions about the true identity of the man they're following. They pull up to the site, but the eerie silence of the area suggests something is very wrong. Suddenly, a mysterious figure in a long coat appears, making Sakura wonder who this new threat could be. The SUV screeches to a halt as our boy's student waits patiently by the abandoned factory. Sakura and the agent step out immediately, sensing a strange, powerful aura coming from the spiky-haired kid. Tio greets them with a cocky grin, looking like a completely different person than the weakling they knew. The girls just stare him down, trying to process how a mere student evolved into this powerhouse. Sakura is absolutely dumbfounded, her mind struggling to bridge the gap between the past and this new reality. She remembers him as a regular high schooler and can't believe this is actually the same person. He just laughs it off, teasing them for failing to recognize their own ally after only a few days. The agent realizes that while awakening changes everyone, this kid's transformation is bordering on the supernatural. Suddenly, a heavy backpack flies through the air, cutting through the awkward tension with a swift swoosh. Han Jae-hook finally appears, telling his student to quit, acting like a clown so they can move. Our boy hops into the truck, ready to lead this ragtag group to the next disaster zone. Tito can't help but smirk, wondering why his master is still playing the mysterious expert role. As they hit the road, the agent asks for their next destination, acknowledging Han's superior knowledge. Han reveals the third abyss will manifest soon in the Twin Towers' abandoned underground parking lot. With the target locked, the agent floors it, knowing every second counts before the rift opens. By nearly midnight, the city is eerily quiet under the moonlight. Unaware of the impending spatial collapse, the team arrives at the designated level, feeling the heavy, distorted atmosphere of the upcoming breach. The agent senses tingle as she confirms the unmistakable signs of abyssal energy leaking into reality. Han remains cautious, asking if they've secured the perimeter to ensure no unwanted eyes are watching. She assures him the area is ghost town quiet, leaving them alone to face whatever crawls out. Han notes the abyss sea drops in 30 minutes, telling the others to stay safe while he handles it. Tio wonders if this is actually their job, feeling the weight of the situation as a mere student. Our boy shuts him up by grabbing his face, reminding him that failure isn't an option tonight. Right on cue, the clock strikes midnight, and the space begins to tear open with a sickening glow. Han braces himself as the rift fully manifests, knowing exactly what kind of trash-tier horror is coming through. From the shadows, Sakura and her partner watch with bated breath, realizing the scale of this threat. A massive, undulating abyssal monster oozes out of the portal, its presence alone distorting the air. Looking at the towering purple slime, Tio realizes this thing is way bigger than anything they've faced before. Han tells his student to keep his cool, and despite the terror, the boy manages to lock in. Handing over a weapon, Han asks if he remembers the training, preparing him for the fight of his life. Takato breaks down the slime's patterns, noting its nasty habit of spitting acid and lashing out with tentacles. Our boy confirms the plan, letting his student handle the crowd control while he prepares the finishing strike. The trash-tier blob lets out a wet screech, clearly not happy about being targeted by the duo. Looking at the pulsating mass, the blonde student can't help but feel completely repulsed by the creature's existence. Han just wants to get this over with, finding the whole slimy situation more annoying than actually dangerous. Suddenly, the monster lashes out, sending a flurry of purple tentacles whipping through the air toward them. It follows up with a barrage of corrosive spit, forcing the pair to stay light on their feet. Locking in with his eagle eye, Tio starts blasting away, determined to shred every last limb off that thing. While the student provides cover fire, Han weaves through the chaos, closing the distance with lethal precision. With his eyes fixed on the core, Han kicks off the ground, ready to end this mess. Han closes the distance, his blade gleaming as he prepares to carve up this trash-tier slime. With a single fluid motion, our boy shreds through the creature's defenses, leaving it a mangled mess. The beast collapses into a puddle of purple filth, completely outclassed by Han's overwhelming speed and precision. Seeing the threat neutralized, Han signals for the agents to come over and wrap things up. He casually offers the final kill to Sakura, wanting her to gain the experience and the monster's essence. Just as she prepares to deliver the finishing blow, a mysterious iron ball drops from the sky. Takato's instincts scream at him, and he bellows for everyone to get out of the way immediately. The group is left dumbfounded, staring at the sudden projectile that just crashed their party. A massive explosion rocks the area, forcing Han to shield Sakura as the ground shatters beneath them. Realizing they aren't alone, Han stands ready, wondering who else could be lurking in this chaotic timeline. The smoke clears as a mocking voice tells the group they are lucky to be alive. A scar man smirks, telling our boy and his crew to scram while he is feeling generous. The mysterious awakened claims the monster for himself, casually juggling iron balls as he approaches. He walks right past them, treating the group like trash-tier extras while heading toward the purple slime. The white-haired agent looks at Han Hook, wondering if his future knowledge is actually reliable. Sweating under the pressure, the agent quickly apologizes for the mistake as the tension reaches a breaking point. The stranger just laughs, telling them to stop passing blame and get lost before he loses his patience. Hanji Hook realizes this guy is a major variable since the novel said this area should be empty. Our boy grows suspicious, knowing this monster wasn't supposed to be found until much later in the story. As they stand their ground, Han Jae-hook prepares for a confrontation with someone not in the script. The stranger mocks our boy for sticking around, while Han wonders if his presence triggered this butterfly effect. Instead of retreating, Han just lets out a heavy sigh, clearly annoyed by this unexpected timeline detour. The intruder finds the reaction hilarious, asking what could possibly be worth sighing over right now. Han admits he expected things to get messy and prepares to throw hands with this timeline-breaking variable. Their power collides in a violent burst, leaving both fighters stunned by the other's raw destructive force. The mysterious man smirks, finally acknowledging that Han isn't just some trash-tier civilian after all. Han creates some distance, realizing his opponent combines high-tier physical strength with precise iron ball manipulation. Seeing an opening, the blonde classmate charges in with his pistol. Shouting for the attack to begin, he lets lead fly, hoping his precision shooting can catch the intruder off guard. However, the stranger effortlessly deflects the incoming fire, using his iron balls like an impenetrable defense. The intruder finds it truly remarkable that two mere kids have managed to become this powerful. Takato isn't interested in talk, immediately unleashing a fifth shot infused with lethal mana. The stranger confidently claims it's useless, relying on his iron balls to deflect the incoming projectile. Turns out he was wrong, as the shot shatters his defense and tears a hole through his shoulder. He collapses to the ground, clutching his mangled arm while struggling to process his sudden defeat. Even while bleeding out, he refuses to back down, his expression shifting from shock to pure rage. Tao mocks his failed boasting, while our boy Han offers the man a chance to surrender and live. Suddenly, the intruder lunges forward with desperate speed, proving he isn't ready to call it quits just yet. He maneuvers past Han with a blur of motion, aiming to take out the weakest link first. The student is left dumbfounded as the bloodied man gets right in his face with a terrifying smirk. The intruder swings a heavy fist at the student, who barely manages to guard against the sudden explosion. The impact sends a shock wave through the area, proving this trash-tier-looking guy is actually a major threat. Han shouts a warning and lunges forward, desperate to protect his student from the bloodthirsty intruder. But the stranger is a total beast, reversing the momentum and pinning Han to the ground with ease. Han gasps for air as he realizes this variable is far more dangerous than the original novel suggested. The man looms over him like a demon, his eyes glowing with a sinister purple light of pure malice. Without a second of hesitation, he winds up a heavy blow intended to finish the job right here. The punch connects with a sickening thud, rattling Han's brain as he takes the full force of it. A relentless barrage of strikes follows, turning Han into a punching bag while he struggles to find an opening. The intruder mocks Han's reliance on strength, claiming that power alone won't save him from a superior fighter. Sakura and her partner are completely rattled as they witness the sheer brutality of the intruder. The stranger doesn't even care about their presence, treating the elite agents like minor annoyances. Before the agent can pull the trigger, the intruder closes the gap and delivers a crushing blow. He stands over the fallen agent, warning Sakura that acting rashly will only lead to her demise. The man sighs, annoyed that these kids won't just listen to their elders and stay away. He rubs his neck, grumbling about potential hospital bills while assuming the fight is finally over. Suddenly, a voice calls out, and the intruder's eyes flare as he senses a new threat. Our boy Han refuses to stay down, launching a desperate counterattack to regain control. The intruder is absolutely dumbfounded that Han can still move after taking such a brutal beating. Han connects with a massive kick, sending the arrogant variable flying across the factory floor. The impact sends the arrogant intruder skidding across the pavement like a broken toy. He slams into the concrete, coughing up dust while cursing the brat who actually managed to land a hit. Our boy Han catches his breath, his mana-enhanced eyes glowing as he pushes past his physical limits. Ignoring the intruder for a second, he rushes over to check on his student slumped against the wall. Han asks if his student is still in one piece and if he managed to secure the win. The blonde classmate flexes his fingers, realizing Han's hellish training is why his bones aren't powder. Han commands Sakura to finish off the remaining Abyss Seed before they get swarmed by more threats. She doesn't hesitate, plunging her blade into the purple mass as it dissolves into nothingness. Han hands her an Abyss Stone, telling her to consume it if she wants to survive the chaos. As the energy surges through her, Sakura wonders if this terrifying new strength is finally her true awakening. Our boy Han hauls the unconscious agent away, telling the group they need to move before more trouble arrives. Back at the crater, the mysterious intruder lies in the dirt, completely dumbfounded by the beating he just took. He rubs his swollen jaw, wondering how a mere kid could possess such overwhelming, monstrous strength. His phone starts buzzing, and he reluctantly picks up to explain why.